What's up, traders? Welcome back to another market analysis. And this analysis will be covering from the 24th through the 29th. All right, so last week we talked about DXY and how we seen a possible reversal on DXY. And we're seeing that play out right now as we came in with a reaccumulation. And we have a distribution that happened here. From this distribution, we'll see another redistribution. So we have a good market cycle going on. And for those of you who watch our recent YouTube video, you've seen where we talked about the market cycle. So we have a distribution, a redistribution. Right now, we're seeing some evidence of sellers on DXY, which we haven't seen in a while. But understand, this doesn't mean nothing until we actually invalidate some type of demand. So as you know, our last area of huge demand on DXY is over here in this area where we had this distribution turning into a reaccumulation. So this huge area is just one huge demand zone. So of course, what we're going to be targeting is more selling pressure on DXY. So we're going to be looking for more sales towards the downside to get us into this demand zone. From here is where we're going to decide whether we're going to continue buying DXY or we're going to continue selling DXY. And that is very important, as you guys know, because that determines whether your USD is going to continue going towards the upside, or are we going to go back to being bearish and go towards the downside. All right, so as of right now, our best two scenarios are of these two things. So first of all, we're going to see DXY go down at the beginning of the week, which is most likely to happen because we're not inside of a demand zone yet. So we're probably going to see some more downside that drives us into this demand area. Once we get into here, we're going to look for two things. Either we're going to see an accumulation form that drives us back towards the upside and we continue this bullish trend, or we're going to see a redistribution form that's going to continue us down, getting back into more demand zones. Because as you guys know, DXY has been going up for a while now, and we have a lot of unleft areas that we can come and mitigate. All right, so understand this could be a reason for a huge retracement and a huge pullback, which is not a bad thing because we can talk about that on EU as well. So that is my outlook on DXY. Moving on to your USD, which is the opposite of DXY. I spoke to you guys last week about if we do invalidate this supply zone, we will be inside of a pullback, and we have done that. So essentially what I'm looking for is for your USD to come back into this supply zone and ultimately probably higher into this area. So I have these two main areas right here that I'm looking for your USD to come to. Those are our most recent supply zones on your USD. Now, what you could do in the meantime is play the buying opportunities, right? You could play the pullback opportunities, the counter trend opportunities if you want to, or what you could look at this as is this possible reversal that we could be creating here on your USD. Because understand, like I said before, your USD has not been this low in a while. Okay, so understand that we are inside of a huge bearish push towards the downside. As you guys can see, all the way up here, we've just been selling off. Now, as you guys know, the market does pull back. We do have counter trend, right? So understand that if we see something huge, like a huge pullback on this market, don't be surprised, right? Because we could essentially, I mean, this is very far-fetched right now, but we could just start getting a huge retracement that leads us back into higher areas of supply that's been left over. So as you guys seen, it's kind of the opposite of DXY, right? We could get these huge pullbacks. So we're not just going to stand around while this happens. We could trade this possible reversal that could lead us into supply zone. That's basically how I'm playing this right now, is playing these areas as possible reversals that could lead me into supply zone. So as we are going towards the upside and we see some good price action, some good entry opportunities, we're going to take those entry opportunities to lead us into these supply zones and see whether or not we're going to sell from these areas or the market is going to continue higher, right? So we're basically hedging. GU is like the same way right now, but GU is much closer to its supply zones. And what we have seen is like the same thing. We see this huge accumulation that has broken areas of supply. So when we see areas of supply get invalidated, that means that some type of demand, some type of buyers are getting inside the market. All right. So once we see something like that happen, we can indicate that a possible reversal is coming. Now we are getting this reversal right now. We can see we have a huge accumulation. We have a huge reaccumulation, which is showing us market cycle. We have came back into the reaccumulation here, right? We came back into this slingshot area right there. Market mitigated. We mitigated this huge manipulation. So essentially, we only have one area left, and it's this huge manipulation right here. Now, the market has already broke this high. So all I need us to do now is to come inside of here, give me a lower time frame entry, you know, lower time frame, change of character, some type of bullish move inside of here that indicates to me the market wants to go higher, and I will take a buy here. Now, essentially, what I want to do is I really just want to hedge this. I want us to come inside this area here, get a possible buy opportunity, leading us up into this supply zone. Once we get into the supply zone, we will decide, we will see whether or not GU wants to give us a sell opportunity from here. And at that point, if we get into a buy position and a sell position, we're in the best place. So that is the main point of this, is trying to get into this buy position first. That could lead us into the sell opportunities coming up here. All right. Pretty simple on GU. That's how we're going to be playing it. AU is pretty much the same way. Right, like I said, we're seeing this reversal, and I talked about this last week to look out for this possible reversal, because I already seen it happening just by how these markets were making these manipulations around these areas. So we're seeing this possible reversal, and we're starting to invalidate huge areas of supply. That means buyers are currently in control of the market right now. So essentially, we have this recent reaccumulation, this recent demand zone right here. Now, as you guys know, what we look for is we look for those lower time frame entries. So essentially, it's like the same thing on GU. We have this area, this huge manipulation, this last manipulation right here. So essentially, we've already came down low enough into the area. I just want to see us get that entry here, driving us towards the upside. Now, we have two possible areas that we can target from this area here. Either we're going to come inside of this huge manipulation. I have the 50% marked out. That's the first area that I'm looking for. Or we're going to come back into this huge origin right here, which is the high of this leg towards the downside, right? This right here is the origin of this huge move towards the downside. Okay, so we could come back all the way into here, but the point is you want to try to get inside of a hedge position, because you don't want to wait for this market to drive all this amount of pips, all this amount of RR towards the upside, and you're just sitting there watching it. You can do that if you want to, but you have to know how to position yourself the best way possible. And this is why we wait for those actual real supply and demand areas to form themselves to look for these possible hedge positions, right? Because if this wasn't a reaccumulation, and I didn't know that reaccumulation is a valid area of demand, and I didn't know that invalidating supply means there's actual buyers inside of this market, right? I wouldn't be taking a buy from here. You can see that I'm not taking buys from just regular candles. I'm not taking buys from just sponsored candles or just random order blocks. I'm taking buys from areas of actual demand. Okay, so moving on to USDCHF, right? So from what we have seen the past couple weeks, USDCHF has totally invalidated its bullish momentum. So now we're seeing the market go back towards the downside, which is expected because DXY is falling, right? So we're seeing distribution, redistribution, another huge redistribution. So that's clearly telling us that sellers are inside this market right now. So I'm gonna give you guys a simple setup for this. I am just looking for us to come back within one of these zones. This is the most recent demand, but we could come back into this huge area as well that created this leg. So basically, I'm just looking for sales within right here or within right here, because understand, right, USDCHF is still bullish because this area here is still the low and this is still the high. Until we break this low or this high, we're just in the middle of this price action. We're just in the middle of the market. So understand that and just be careful with that. Just by seeing USDCHF showing me this distribution, redistribution, and showing me this seller's market right now, I can say that potentially we could come back inside this area, which is the most recent like actual demand zone. All right. And that's the reason for that. And it's more likely for us to come inside of here because this essentially did not do anything. We didn't break any highs or anything from this area. So I can't really confirm that this area right here had actual demand and buyers that were strong enough to keep us interested going towards the upside. All right. So moving on to UCAD. Now I know most of the things that I'm saying right now might sound very complicated, but guys, these are very simple terms. These markets are so simple when you understand them from a Wyckofian aspect and just understanding what Wyckoff is, how to tie that in with supply and demand and market structure. It becomes very simple. Okay, so essentially right now we're looking at UCAD. UCAD is bullish. All right, UCAD is bullish from this low to this high now because this was just order flow. This area right here was just order flow. This wasn't a substantial pullback enough. Sorry, this wasn't a substantial pullback enough that would call this another leg, right? So this low is still the low. Now this is the high. So what we've recently seen is we're seeing UCAD give us this huge move towards the downside. All right. So what I'm waiting for now is I'm just waiting for us to invalidate this low. Once we invalidate this low, I will know for sure that we're coming back inside of here. All right. So what can I do with that? Well, basically, this is a huge distribution that's forming here. All right, if you didn't know, this is a huge distribution, huge manipulation. You can already see that I have this marked out with my fibs. And simply what I'm looking for is I'm just going to wait for this market to retrace, get back into at least the 50% and look for sales to continue me down inside of here. Once we get inside of here, I will be looking for buys back towards the upside. Why? Because this is what's holding us bullish. So essentially, you could either go that route or you could wait for UCAD to come down here and then look for buys, right? You choose the route that you want to go with, but those are the two routes that you can take, okay? Now, I won't just be taking random sales. It has to be clean sales with clean distribution. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just taking random sales, okay? So just be on the lookout for UCAD. I'm pretty sure we're going to continue lower coming back inside of here. This is where you actually want to buy from, honestly. This looks like it's going to be another redistribution. Now, if this turns out to be another redistribution, that's easy sell to the downside if you want to take that possible hedge. All right, so UCAD is pretty simple. Moving on to EG, we have this clean distribution and we invalidate demand. As you guys can see, this right here started out as a reaccumulation. So this was a reaccumulation, which means it's a demand zone. All right, after we drove towards the upside, we tapped inside this little supply zone right here, huge manipulation, and we ended up coming lower and breaking this area of demand. So essentially what that's telling me is this now has become a huge distribution. So you guys can see I already have the 50% of the manipulation marked out. So I'm going to be looking for two things. Either we're going to be seeing a redistribution that we could play from, or we're going to come back inside of this manipulation and get that entry to continuous lower. Two things. All right, very simple. So EG is one of those simple setups that I'm looking at right now. Just keep an eye out on this. Those two things are the ways I'm going to be playing this market, and like I said, very simple. All right, now CADCHF. So CADCHF and USDCHF are very similar, but CADCHF is a little bit cleaner. You guys can see we have this huge distribution right here. And now the market got a little weird last week. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't really much paying attention to this until we broke this low here. So since we broke in this low, that's telling me that now sellers are actually interested in this market, because at first we seen this huge distribution, which was giving me a sign. But afterwards, we create another accumulation and then we just got super just rangy, right? But now we're going back to the downside, which is showing me more possible sellers. Okay, so essentially, we have supply being created. Let me go ahead and mark this out. So essentially we have supply being created as we're going down. Now we can either play this one or two ways. We're going to wait for us to come inside of here, get a sell from there, or we can just create another supply zone that we could just sell from and continue lower. So last but not least, guys, we got ACAD, okay? ACAD, another one of those simple ones. We have a reversal going on ACAD. Now, as you guys know, those of you who's been following me for the last couple of weeks, you know, we have this high that creates this new low now since we're getting this reversal. So this is our official low now. And after we get a reversal, guess what? This is your best time of actually trying to hedge. Once you get that reversal, this is your best time to hedge. You do not want to be trying to hedge the market when it's coming all the way up here. This is your time to sell, right? You want to catch the hedge as low as possible catch the reversal as low as possible. And once you get back into the actual trend of the market, which this market is still bearish, okay, just because we're looking for buys doesn't mean this market isn't bearish. I just want to let you guys know that. So essentially, I'm just simply looking for buys until we get back into our actual area of supply. All right, I'm going to look for buys that lead me into this area of supply because I know that ACAD could still have higher areas that it could go to, and we're still bearish. So this is one huge move towards the downside. All right, essentially, this is our order flow from high to low. So I'm going to be waiting for us to come inside of this huge manipulation, right? Now, as we are going towards that manipulation, what are we seeing? We're seeing demand get formed. So we're seeing what? We're seeing accumulation, reaccumulation. So essentially now what we're going to look for another entry to go higher. All right. Simple as that, guys. Simple as that. So that is it for this market outlook, right? I wanted to get straight to it and show you guys what I was looking. I wasn't trying to waste no time with this one, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what markets you want me to look at. Okay. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.